Hey there, welcome to my channel. So today I'd like to have a look with you at a move called Ayesha and just give you some tips and tricks on what to pay attention to when we're actually performing this move, just to improve our technique on it and make that position stronger and feeling more safe and confident in that move. So before we get started, the Ayesha move looks like this. And there's a lot of confusion with the words Ayesha and handspring. So Ayesha is not a handspring, but the handspring is the entry to get into Ayesha. So Ayesha is just the move that we are holding like this, whereas the handspring is a certain way of getting into it. And there's a lot of different ways to get into an Ayesha, and we don't necessarily need the handspring for that. Just to let you know about this, so the video is just about the Ayesha, not about the handspring. So I will also make a video about different entries into an Ayesha that are not handspringy, but yeah, we'll keep that for later. Firstly, we want to focus on the move itself, so I'm gonna just run through all the steps. So starting off with our hands, because that's what's keeping us on it. So as you could see, the only grip points we have on the pole during an Ayesha are our hands. So we're going to be speaking about them first, talking about the grips that we're using, then about the arm placement, then we're going to come to upper body and torso. Then we're just going to have a look at what our legs are doing and also where we want our bum to be. So let's get into it. So when it comes to grips, we can use a lot of different grips to hold ourselves in the Ayesha. We're usually having that split grip where one arm goes to the top and the other one is creating this little triangle shape between us and the pole. So it would kind of look like this or like that. So we always have a triangle going here for this grip. And the two best grips for us to practice with when we're starting off with the Ayesha are actually the true grip and the twisty grip. For the twisty grip, we have our hand behind the pole and then coming around it to hold on to the pole, and the other hand comes to the bottom. And then it's kind of this push-pull action where we can hold ourselves like that. And this twisty grip is considered to be the easier variation because we are basically hanging off that top arm and just pushing with the bottom arm. So it's more so a balance issue. We don't have to think too much about muscle engagement, not as much as for the true grip, which is basically just a normal grip here and then the other hand coming down. So when we are using this grip here for Ayesha, we have to make sure that we are really pulling with the top arm to keep us there, because otherwise we're just going to lose that grip and fall down. We want to be strong in that arm here as well. We're not so much hanging of it, but really pulling ourselves in. So you want to keep this arm bent. The bottom arm is always slightly bent. We never want to overextend it, but always keeping it slightly bent and just pushing ourselves off the pole to keep the distance there. But yeah, with that top arm, people really often forget to keep it engaged, to really keep pulling here, to keep yourself on the pole. So just to sum it up, twisty grip, it's basically the balancing thing, and we're basically hanging off that top arm. Whereas with true grip, we have that muscle engagement additionally to the balance, which is why a lot of people consider the true grip to be more challenging in the beginning. But there's still a lot of good reasons to start off with the true grip. For example, if you are doing the twisted grip, because of the way your shoulder is twisted in it, you're more prone to injury here, especially when you haven't done that move a lot and your shoulder's not used to it. So learning a new trick with that shoulder position might be a little bit tricky and also risky. Secondly, it's a good idea to start off with the version where you're actually focusing on a proper muscle engagement and really getting it into your brain that this is how your arms have to be working, and then go over to the variation where basically just hanging, where it's not that hard anymore, than to do it the other way around. Because if you learn to do the Ayesha in the twisted grip first, you'll be struggling later to get back into the true grip, just because you're not used to having that muscle engagement there, and you'll be like, what, but I'm doing all the same things, it feels so good, but I still can't hold it. So yeah, it is really worth doing the true grip first, especially because we don't have to warm up our shoulders as long for the true grip as for the twisty grip. However, feel free to train and practice the true grip first, and then when you feel your shoulders are really warm on that, you can still go over to the twisted grip and just see whether you can get that position right, and then hop back to the true grip just to try to like even it out, to balance it out, to still work that muscle engagement, but using the twisty grip just to find that right body position with the whole rest of your body. So that's why it's a good idea to still mix it up a little bit. But yeah, don't be like twisty grip, easier version, I go only that, and true grip, don't care about you. But yeah, try to find a good balance between the two of them if you want to give the twisty grip a go already. So let's speak about the arm placement. So our arms, as I said, are in that kind of triangle shape here. We don't want to have this bottom arm overextended, but we're keeping it slightly bent. And then also the top arm, when it's in true grip, we want to have it slightly bent just to be able to really pull here and to engage all those muscles. And yeah, we want to have that push-pull action going here. And also how far apart your arms are. This kind of depends on your body size and your proportions in that. But always when in doubt, try to go a little bit further apart. It's better to be further apart and not being able to hold the position, and then the next time just take it slightly in, than taking them too close to each other straight away, and that way just hurting yourself. Because when you have your arms further together here, you're actually more prone to injury because it's more weight coming on them and that when you let go of your feet, when you're upside down, than when you have them like further apart. So it's just better to start further and then like walk your way into it and just see what you feel comfortable with. And yeah, play around with this and try to find your version here. Another little thing to pay attention to is to actually be using those arms to pull my body into that right position where it feels more safe and more stable for me to hold. So don't think I'll put my arms there and I just hold it there. You can also move your body slightly with it. I'm just going to show that one on the pole. So coming in from the true grip, I'm just going to use the handspring just to make it a bit quicker here. So getting here, and I can move my body around and find that good position. I hope you can see that. To be able to find a good spot where it feels safe and comfortable for me to hold that position, because really often we turn out too much and we're not facing the pole so much anymore. So it's actually really good if we make sure that that arm is engaging properly. So usually we want to pull with the arm and bring it over slightly to the other hip, just to be able to even out our shoulder position and also the body position through that, to be in a good angle from the pole, like to not be moving out too much or in too much. We just want to make sure that the arm's pulling ourselves to the other side of the hip. It doesn't have to be extreme, like we don't want to have our hips right on our arms, but like that's just where we are aiming to go to. Of course we can practice the arm movement on the floor, so we can just get into that split grip however we like it, like starting with true grip would be a good thing always to get our shoulders nice and warm. And then we're pushing with the bottom one and pulling with that top one. So I'm pushing, pulling, and I can lift my feet off the floor. I hope you can see it, and bring them back down. I can repeat this several times so I can hold it for longer. Don't forget to do the other side as well. And yeah, we can of course do that one with twisted grip as well. So I'm just in the twisted grip here. Don't forget to engage the top shoulder here as well. And then we can just push into the bottom one and keep the engagement up there as we are hanging. And you can repeat that one on the other side as well. So also with our butterflies and all of this, we're having the arms in the same position there with the push-pull motion. So practice these a lot just to get comfortable with the arms. Maybe pay special attention to how you're putting your arms. Usually when we just getting used to a good position, like we do it without thinking about it and getting our arms straight away into the right spot. But then when we overthink it and trying to re-grip and replace our arms and so on, it's actually making it harder for us because we're not in that comfortable automatic position kind of. So if we want to quickly have a look at this one, so the butterfly position, it's basically the same split grip here. There we go. Pushing with the bottom one and pulling with the top one. So now let's get to our torso or our upper body. So what do we want to do? We want to make sure that we are sucking that belly in, tucking that pelvis under. So we want to have this motion going there because we're going to pike our legs towards us. And if we're having a big back extension here, so if we're standing like this, it's just going to make it really hard to get those feet close to us. But by tucking the pelvis in, engaging the lower abs, we'll be actually able to get them far closer to us, which will make this position a lot more comfortable. So pay attention to that in your Ayesha. So we want to tuck that pelvis in and under, and then we are able to switch those lower abs on and bring our legs a lot higher up than we were with a back extension. So another important thing about our torso is that we actually want to tilt our hips slightly, and we want to like really get those obliques going here. So depending on what arm is on the top. That's the side that will be crunching over to one side. And why do we do this? This is essentially because our arms are placed like that. So we're not completely straight with our upper body, but we also don't want to be. Otherwise we would be too far away from the pole. So if we just get into a good comfortable position, our body is usually a little bit diagonal to the pole. And what we want to do is then, because this will be my top arm, I'm going to crunch that one side just to get rid of this diagonal shape and to even it out more, to be able to balance that position more. If we don't do this, it's going to make it really, really hard to hold that position, because it's a lot more strength required, because we're not in that perfect balancing position where you can just hold everything there. Yeah, we're basically using a lot more strength then if we don't have that hip tilt going and the oblique engagement here to hold in that position. A good tip on what to do is to actually use your look, like your head, to get that little movement going. So for example, if I have this arm here as my top arm, I will look at the same side leg with my head. So I'm not just going to be looking like that, but I'm actually going to try to actually look at it, and that way I'm going to get that crunch here going already. So I'm going to be able to tilt my body over to that side and support this position that I want to have, and it's going to be on the right side as well, and I don't risk falling out of it because I'm doing it to the other side and then I'll just fall off. So let's just have a quick look at that one. So I'm coming in here, and now I really want to look here. So I'm exaggerating it now. So I want to look at this leg just to get that crunch going here, to be able to hold that position better. So by looking at the correct legs, it helps me to find that good weight distribution here, to be able to hold the balance, and also to get that little crunch going here to activate the obliques. And yeah, if you want to figure out how to feel your obliques, the big pull basic to do so is doing these oblique crunches, where we're basically engaging our obliques here to bring our body back up. So just make sure that you know what it feels like when you're engaging your obliques, and then try to mimic that one once you're up there to even out your body as you're in your Ayesha. So basically what we're doing here is counterbalance the uneven arms by crunching over with the hip here, and that's a very important part that a lot of people forget about, or don't think about, or don't know about. I didn't know about it for a long time. It was so hard for me to hold that position, and eventually I realized that I just started doing it automatically, and yeah, so I just wanted to share this one as well with you because it makes it heaps easier. So let's talk about legs. I was already touching on that a little bit. We want to tuck the pelvis in order to be able to really tuck those legs in towards us, towards our body, just to be able to hold that position more, to get that right weight distribution, to make this position easier to hold. So what we don't want to do is actually keeping our legs extended. So we don't want them to be like that, but we want them to come in towards us. And in order to do so, I'm tucking in my pelvis to bring those legs up. So if I'll take it up to the pole, I'll show you the difference. So right here, we actually want our knees to be facing down and not up. We don't want them to be here. We don't want to be back bending, because that just makes it really, really hard to hold. So make sure your knees are facing downwards and not towards the wall, towards the front, the back, whatever. Down. They want to face down, and you want to tuck them in as much as you can. You might have already noticed that it's always the same leg for me that comes up. So every time I get into my Ayesha, if this hand here is the top one, I want this leg to come in first, just to be able to get that crunch going here already, and then I can tuck the other leg in and extend it as well if I feel safe enough. So even when you're starting the Ayesha from a crucifix, the butterfly, whatever else, it's always good to start the Ayesha, to start getting into the Ayesha with the same leg as the top arm that you have. And with top, I mean the one that is up here, not the one that is above your head once you're upside down, because that gets a little bit confusing sometimes, speaking about top and down when you're upside down. But yeah, anyways, so you always want to get that leg in first to find the right position, and then you can take the other leg off the pole or position the other leg, and you can go for bent leg first here and then extend it if you feel safe. But this one here, you want to have it nice and strong, and it's better to actually keep it extended here. So I'm just quickly going to show that. So I'll have this hand up, this leg is going to get into the position first. So this leg is up and the other one I've bent right now, and I can extend it there. And that makes sure that I have the weight distribution in the correct way. My obliques engaging here to hold my body there and even out the arm positioning as we were already talking about. If I do all of this with the other hand on top, so this one here, I'll do it the opposite way. So this leg here will be the one getting into that position at first, and then I'll bring the other leg out and I can come back out of that position. So that being said, a lot of people actually are scared of extending their legs properly, just because you're off the pole in there and you really want to actually keep being as close to the pole as possible. But extending the legs, especially the one from the top arm first, it's going to make it a lot easier than having them tucked, because it's a lot harder for you to find your balance when you're just small like that rather than like this. When you have your arms extended, it's even when you're standing on one leg, it makes it easier to hold your balance, especially when you're on your tippy toes. It makes it easier to hold that balance and to balance it out with your arms in this case, or with your legs in the Ayesha. So it's always good to have them nice and extended, especially the one from the top arm. The other one, you can bend it first and then extend it out when you feel safe. But yeah, don't try to just tuck them in straight away, or don't try to get into the position with your legs really quickly. Like, do it slowly because it's a balancing position. So you don't want to do quick movements, especially when you move on to do all of this on a spin pole. But yeah, you always want to make sure that you get into it nice and relaxed and calmly. It doesn't have to be slow motion, but just don't go really quick and explosive movements, because it's just going to throw your body off and it's not going to allow you to actually be engaging the proper muscles and really focusing on what to do next in that when you go too quick, and it's going to throw out that balance as well, and you'll have to like counter engage to try to keep it there, and this will just make it trickier. And speaking of that, with quick movements and that, tucking your legs in because you're scared and that, it's actually safer to just practice falling out of the move, as I did multiple times here, because I'm wearing long pants, so it's hard for me to get back into the pole. But usually it's safer for you to just practice to fall out of that position rather than to get back into the pole, because then your whole weight will be shifting again and you might not get the pole into the right grip, and then you get scared and you might let go with your hands and that. So yeah, just make sure you practice falling out of it just so you feel safe, because it's actually not really that hard. Like, all we've got to pay attention to is what side we want to be going to. So let's have a quick look at that. So top arm, so this will be my first extended leg, and this leg will go over to the other side in order to be able to exit nice and smoothly. So extending this one, and now to get out, I'm just tucking it in and coming down. If you just practice this option to actually be able to exit like that, it's going to make it a lot easier, and you're not going to mind having to come out of the position rather than really trying to get back into the pole, not catching it with your legs, and then panicking in that. This is especially important because we want our bum to be away from the pole. And then really often when we try to get back onto the pole, we're just hooking our legs the wrong way around and then still having that bum out there, and it's really hard for us to hold onto the pole, so it's safer to exit that way. But yeah, let's get to the bum. So what about our bum? We want to get our bum as far away from the pole as we can, just to be able to create more resistance on our arms, so we would be able to hold this position here better. If I have my bum right here, it's really hard for me to hold it because all my weight is right here as well. So it's easier for me to distribute the weight if my bum is a bit further out. So let me just show you that one in the Ayesha. I hope that you will be able to see that one. So my bum is actually further away and not right here. Because when I have it too close to the pole, it's more so the top arm just hanging and doing heat, and there's more weight on that one, and it's not a good weight distribution between the two hands. So I was doing the twisted grip just that. Let's have a look at this with the true grip. So I'm getting into my Ayesha, and the closer I get here, the less space I also have with that arm, and the harder it will be to actually engage that arm and hold it than when I'm further away and I can actually engage this one properly. Then when I'm really close to here, I cannot really get that engagement going with my top arm. So try to get your bum away as far as possible from the pole, just to make it easier on your arms, to get that weight distribution going there, and to be in a more comfortable position. That's also the reason why we want to be like tucking in those legs, because obviously as we get closer to the pole, we would have to straighten them out more to be able to hold that balancing position. But because we're bringing our bum away, we want to bring our legs in to even out the position. Let me show you what I mean with that. So I'm here, and when I want to come closer, this is really hard to hold. I usually have to bring my legs up as well, and then bring them back out, just to be able to have that balance going. So as you can see, you can be holding the pole like this and be nice and balanced, but because this is really, really difficult in the beginning, we want to bring our bum to the back, tuck our legs in, just to be able to create the balance point here again. So to balance it out, but bringing back our bum, we're balancing this one out with tucking our legs in to be able to hold that position better, to be balancing it and not really forcing our body to stay in that position and working against gravity, but with gravity. So the Ayesha position, when we have the legs tucked, it's actually the easier version of those balancing options. And later on, you probably see it. You've got like iron eggs, you've got like all the different things that you can do while you're up there. But yeah, this one is a focus on Ayesha. So let's just stick to it, just so you know a little bit of while we're pushing that bum out. And that's because of this balancing aspect. Okay, just some little additional tips and also a little summary of everything that we've said. So firstly, when you're practicing Ayeshas and that, make sure you have clean hands and a clean pole, that they are not too sweaty, like your hands or the pole, and that you're using enough grip in that, but not too much. Again, like find a good balance there to be able to really feel safe, because as soon as you feel your hand sliding a little bit, they're just gonna put in your head, no, I'm not gonna hold it, and then your body doesn't want to get to those spaces. So really make sure that you're wiping down, cleaning down your pole. I actually did it several times while I was going here and just demonstrating this a couple of times, because it's pretty hot here right now and I just have super sweaty hands the whole time. So really want to be paying attention to that, because really often it is that we let go out of the position, more so because of our hand grip, because we don't feel safe there, than actual strength or being afraid of the position or whatever else. So it's usually a lot of times that our hands are giving a signal to our brain, no, you're not going to hold that, and that's how we set up to fail. The other thing, which has kind of to do with that one, is to not take too long when you're doing this. So no matter what position you're getting out from, of course, don't rush into it, like don't do quick explosive movements, but at the same time, don't be too slow. Because if you're hanging there for heaps of time, especially when it's hot or when you're sweaty, your hands are gonna get sweaty as well, and they're gonna get tired, so it's gonna just make it harder to hold while you're still here thinking, and by the time you actually know, oh, okay, this is what I'm gonna do, yeah, your hands will be like, nah, mate, not doing this anymore. So really make sure that you first think about what you're gonna do, and maybe like, yeah, touch your leg, just to remember that feel, which leg is gonna go up and that, before you hop on the pole, just to be able to make sure that it's not going to take you too long to actually think about all those little things. Or maybe just put like a little band on that foot or whatever, like just to be able to identify it quicker and to not hang on the pole for too long. Also with like regripping in that, sometimes we feel like regripping, especially when starting out of the crucifix or something, like we can just quickly wipe our hands or something and then regrip, or like, yeah, just try to do whatever and just regrip to feel safer. But the regrip is usually in a slightly different point, which will again destroy the good arm positioning that we have and just change it slightly, but it's still making us feel less secure then. So just be aware of that when you are hopping onto the pole to practice. And yeah, as I've already said, make sure you're comfortable with all the other tricks that lead up to the Ayesha or are similar to it or provide an entry into it, because you want to be really confident in all of those moves in order to be really able to focus on the Ayesha. So for example, caterpillar climb, butterfly, just to get that split grip going, then like, yeah, split grip conditioning just on the ground. Also the crucifix, because that's a good entry version as well. So make sure you're confident in all of them before you try hopping into the Ayesha, and just give them a go, because remember, by training those moves, you're basically training the Ayesha as well already. It's better to spend more time on them and be able to progress into the Ayesha quicker than to start with the Ayesha really quick, but then injure yourself, and that way not be able to progress as quickly. Alrighty, so a little summary of it all. So we've got our true grip and our twisty grip, which I really recommend for this one. We want to make sure that we practice the true grip first. We can try out the twisted grip as well, but only if we warmed up properly, and yeah, making sure that we don't forget about the true grip. And then our arm placement, like it's going to be this triangle shape here. Then are further apart than too close together. We're pushing with one hand, pulling with the other just to keep us there. Because our body is a bit diagonal, we want to make sure that we will tilt our hips here and engage those obliques just to be able to counterbalance the arms as well. Then also tucking the pelvis in to be able to tuck those legs properly, but also to be able to balance that position out. We want to bring our bum further back to the back, and the safest exit out of this one is to actually fall out of it nice and controlled. I don't mean like let go and fall down, but nice and controlled. We practice falling out as well, just to be able to feel safe, secure, and not be scared of how do I get out, but more so know what you're doing, and that way you'll be able to progress in your Ayesha faster because you just feel more confident and you know how to get out and all of that, and it's just less stressful for you. So I really hope that I could help you out with this video and that there was something useful in there for you. I'm going to do another video where I explain entries into Ayesha, but for now I just wanted to focus on the move itself and just give you tips and tricks, because with entries there are different options there, and some might suit some people more and others other people. So I just wanted to be able to have the time to go over several of them and not have to squish it all into one short video and not cover them enough. So yeah, let me know what you think about this video, and any questions, comments, just let me know down below, and see you soon. Have fun with your Ayeshas. Bye!